What's going on, Spitfires? Welcome back to another episode of the Spitfire Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Lemunion, the Spitfire Coach, coming to you from my tiny little apartment in Arlington, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. And I'm really pumped to be bringing episodes back to you. Took a bit of a break once the pandemic hit, once things started hitting the fan, and once we kind of have been getting out of survival mode, at least in my household. I don't know how you guys are holding up, but I figure if I'm feeling better, hopefully you guys are feeling better, or if you're not feeling better, maybe I can help support people wherever they are. Since March 12th, we have been coming to people's living rooms by way of Facebook Live. We've been doing backyard shows. I've been coaching people from my tiny little nook of an office in my bedroom of our 750 square foot apartment that is not fancy, but we make it work. And I realize a lot of people are in really tough situations. We are all kind of trying to do the best we can, and a lot of us don't have much right now. If you've been unemployed, it can feel dire. If you've lost a lot of business, it can feel hopeless. I have people in my family who are really struggling right now, and it's hard. It is hard. I have clients who are having a hard time, and I also have clients who are really able to pivot and make this work. And I know that word pivot is a triggering word, so I'm going to be really aware of that. Not everyone is in the same situation. We are all trying to navigate as best we can, and there is not a one-size-fits-all approach. This isn't like, hey, you should just do takeout. Hey, you should just change your business model. But we all kind of have to look at what we're working with and what we can do with that. And first, if you're not in a place of creativity, if you are not in a place of creating something new, you're probably in a stress reaction, and that's okay. And first recognizing that of where you're at right now. If you are in this crisis mode of like, I don't know what to do, then you feel like you are completely constrained by the situation. So first, just having that awareness of, I don't have it in me. My kids are around me all the time. My partner is around me, or I'm by myself and I'm feeling really stunted. That's okay. This is not a comparison, and I think that's the biggest thing. You know, we have constraints. I was talking about this to a client of, kind of these 3 C's of where you are in this journey. And the first one is constraints. Where do you show up? So how do you feel limited by your current environment? Where are things different that feel out of your control? How are they impacting you? What is the impact on your mental health, on your emotional health, on your physical health, on your spiritual health? These are all things that are impacting us. And to first have awareness that, yes, we are being impacted in very different ways. Even if you're living in a big house with wide open spaces, you're still not living the same routine that you had. You have different constraints. You can't hop on a plane and go to Europe like you may have done, or you can't go and meet with coworkers or go to a conference to go and network with people. So there are differences here. So first, acknowledging the constraints and how are they impacting you? What is the impact that it's having on you? And this isn't a judgment of, why are things different? And you may be really angry, and that's okay too. So first, what are the constraints? How are they constraining you? And then the next phase is comparing. So how are these constraints similar or different from the past? How did you handle constraints like these? What resources did you use? So this is allowing us to see what is and what was, whereas the past can hold us back, but the past can also give us insights. So just by having this, what do I want it to be? What is it now, and what did it used to be? That allows us to have some sort of comparison. And a lot of times I tell people, don't get in the comparison trap. But I will tell you that if you feel like you are suffocating and being buried by the constraints, comparison is the next step from that. It allows you to see where you want to go and where you are and where you used to be. So it allows you some space to be objective, to look at things from a more macro level instead of in the weeds in the micro level. So we have the constraints, we have the comparison, and then beyond that is the creativity. So it looks at the opportunities of, well, if I know that I used to be there, and I know that I'm here, and I know I want to get there, what is missing, or what do I need in order to get me there? And what is within my control to make that happen? I think the biggest pitfall that people get into, whether we're in a pandemic or not, is that we think that we have to independently solve things. And that's ego coming in. It's our ego saying, well, here you go. You should fix it. And if you can't, then you're not good enough. You're worthless. But that's not the truth. We can get it as far as we can get it. And then we have to look at what is beyond my zone of genius, beyond my skill set, beyond my experience that I need to reach out for. And as soon as we do that, we lessen the impact of stress. We lessen ego. Our ego tries to make it all about us. It tries to tell us how we should be, where we should be. It compares and judges us based on an unrealistic expectation. So if we look at this objectively, if we look at the elements of where we were, where we are, and where we want to go, we can find those elements. We can pull it out and we can build a plan. But when we are in this stress cycle, we're looking for all of the things that are going wrong. We're looking for these obstacles that keep coming in our way, and then we're justifying it. We're rationalizing it. Well, this is the way it is. This is how it's always going to be. And I will tell you the main reason that I'm doing this show topic today is because I have someone that is very close to me in my life, a family member, who has come out and personally attacked me, has made me their reason of why they're not successful. And I know that it's not rational. I know that it's ego. I know that it's fear, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have impact. And so we have to be aware of where we are in this journey. If we are in this constraints where everything feels impossible, or we're in this comparison where we're trying to figure things out of where we fit, or we're in this creativity mode. If we don't know where we are transferring our emotional baggage on people. We are dumping on other people, and that's what's happening a lot. So if you don't want to dump on people, you gotta check where you are. And I had an emotional check last night. I was feeling really bad. I was feeling really angry and frustrated and scared of what more can I do? I'm doing the best that I can, and it's not good enough, and this person is judging me, and I don't know what to do. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm creating this podcast so that you understand that if people are coming at you, if you're feeling judged, that it actually has nothing to do with you. Even though they're hitting those buttons and those points in you that make you feel like you did in the past, or makes you feel like you're not good enough, these are people who are in their ego, in their fear, and it doesn't have to be your fear. It doesn't have to be your story. So that's what I want to leave you with, is just understand where you are and where you want to go. And sit down and just sketch things out. Just write things out of, you know what? Understand that we are in this for the long haul. This is not going to be resolved with a vaccine. This is not going to be resolved with a policy change or with a stimulus. We are in whatever this phase of our history, whatever it is, we are in this for a long time. And so we have to look at what are our live-withs. What are the things that are in our control? What are the things that are outside of our control? And what can we do with them? How do we create our legacy in spite of things not being what they were? What are the things that we can start to play with? And I know that it probably seems like a jump to say, how do you expect me to play when hundreds of thousands of people are dying, when millions of people are sick, when we have entire populations that are getting decimated by this disease? But we individually have to figure these things out, because the people that we trust are not doing it. The people that should be taking care of this are not. So we have a personal responsibility to first take care of ourselves, to make sure we're good, to take care of our families, then take care of our communities, and then branch out further and further out. But if we don't take care of ourselves, if we aren't checking where we are in this journey, all we're doing is transferring our emotional baggage, and we're just bringing more of that fear and anger out. And while it's a great motivator on the short term, on the long term, it is exhausting, and it doesn't do anything to push the message forward. It doesn't do anything to grow things forward. It is a catalyst that allows us to act. But if we don't convert it into action, if we don't convert it into a bigger plan and momentum, then we're just cycling back through this where we're going to be really tired. And so if you are feeling tired, if you're feeling frustrated, just take a moment to ask where you are. Are you in the constraint? Are you feeling like things are impossible? Are you in the comparison where you're looking at different options and trying to see where you want to go and where you are now, where you used to be? Or are you in that creativity mode where you're ready to move forward, where you're ready to build that plan and make it happen? So take that pulse, take that moment, take a breath. Believe me, all of this is about breathing. The irony is not lost that the coronavirus stops us from breathing, that it constricts us. It is calling for us to breathe, to take that moment, to breathe deeply, to listen to our body, to listen to our heart, not our ego, not our fear, to check back in with the things that matter most to us. So I hope that this was helpful. I'm going to try to be sharing more messages of my experience, what I'm seeing with my clients. I'm going to be doing more interviews, and the break is over. The Spitfire podcast is back. So if you have not subscribed, head on over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, look up Spitfire Podcasts, share it with your friends who may need this. And if you have a question or a topic, you can send me an email, lauren@spitfirecoach.com, and feel free to check Justin and I out on Facebook Live every Thursday and Sunday night at 8 p.m. at facebook.com/Justin Trawick Music. And you guys keep being awesome. I'm sending lots of love and support out to you, and I hope that you make it a good one.